I'm super excited for today. I don't know what to think. You know, you and I talked a little bit on the way, and we had spoken about how I think Jund is just the deck to play. And if you're not playing Jund, then you should probably be playing like a Eldrazi deck or something like that. So
yeah, I like
Tron and Jund.
I like
two choices.
Mid range. I like going bigger on Tron, and I like trying to go under Tron with like something like Burn, or potential. I wouldn't probably play Infect today. I think there's a good argument to make that Infect could come back.
Yeah.
Especially if Tron continues. But I think Burn is just really good against Tron as well. And I think Infect just folds to decks like Tron.
Okay.
To Jund.
Makes sense.
You can also try to go a little bit bigger and maybe play some type of control deck.
Yeah, it's hard, right? Because I thought when we had talked a while back about Jace getting unbanned, only Jace getting unbanned, I was like, wow, the control deck's going to be really good. But Bloodbraid Elf puts a ton of pressure on you really quickly. So it's harder to play a control deck, I think, nowadays.
Yeah, I think the way the format has shaped up is that a lot of people thought Jace would take over the format, and he's definitely warped it. We see a lot less fatal pushes, and we see a lot more lightning bolts.
Yeah. And
because of that, I think that Jace has kind of been pushed aside, and Bloodbraid Elf has really kind of shown through. Yeah, definitely.
Cascade is such an interesting mechanic. It's I don't know if I like it, or
I don't know if
it's well designed.
I don't know if I'd call it interesting, but
it's interesting to me that the spell goes on the stack before the Bloodbraid Elf actually hits the table. So it's even harder to deal with if you get your lightning bolt stripped or something along those lines. So
yeah. So it looks like we have Joseph Tucker on a mull to 6.
Yeah.
And he's on the draw, and it looks like he's scried top.
Okay, looks like he's scried to the top. And then Jeffrey Bode here. Looks like he has a pretty good start here. He's got a Faithless Looting here. Looks like he had an As Foretold in hand as well.
Yeah, I mean this has to hit Goryo's Vengeance in his hand as well.
What's he got?
This is what he wants to be doing on turn 1.
I agree. Do we have a Gristlebrand in hand? I thought I saw one.
I think that might be a Gristlebrand.
Is that a Gristlebrand right there?
Yeah, it is.
Wow.
And a Goryo's
Vengeance. Wow. Okie dokie. We are off to the races very quickly here. So Joseph, I don't know what he's going to need here. Expedition map?
Map's not going to
I don't think that's enough.
This might just be game.
All right, well.
Now, one thing about this deck is that Jeffrey's using these Gristlebrands for just value. He doesn't have, it's not like the Shoal deck. He's not exiling.
Boy.
Just a living in. We're just putting Gristlebrand into play. Okay, that's much better than sacking at the end step.
Looks like Joseph is picking his stuff up. He thought about it for a second and says, you know what?
Wow.
We're done here.
Yep.
We are done here.
And this is modern, folks.
Do you blame him?
This is modern.
It is. It is modern. That was special stuff. Did you think Grixis Goryo would be the first deck we put on camera today?
No, absolutely not. But it is a sweet one.
I agree. I agree. Very sweet. So while these guys are sideboarding, So now here's the problem with decks like Eldrazi Tron or Tron and Jund. How do you beat Grixis Goryos? What kind of sideboard cards, I guess, does Joseph have to beat this deck?
So I would assume he's got some number of Relic Progenitus. So yep, I see 2 Relic of Progenitus. He also has a Warping Whale.
Sure.
Which doesn't shut off Goryo's Vengeance, but it does shut off Living End as an option.
Okay.
And I think just based on Jeffrey's deck list, he's more interested in casting the Living End because he has As Foretold and Living Ends.
Okay.
The Goryo's Vengeance is probably just like, I need to draw some cards. I want to get my Gristlebrand, draw 7, and hope that my hand is now good enough to beat whatever they're doing.
Yeah, that makes sense. It looks like in Joseph's, even in the main, he has like Chalice for 0 is not a bad option.
Yes, I agree. And he also has 2 Surgicals on the board, which is going to be really good.
Okay.
Because, Jeffrey is going to try to discard some cards. I mean, he's got these Faithless Lootings.
Yeah.
He wants cards in the bin.
What do you think? So the Surgicals are certainly in. The Relics are certainly in. There's a Grafdigger's Cage as well.
Grafdigger's Cage.
So he's got a lot of tools.
Pithing Needle if he wants to name Gristlebrand.
Yeah. So it feels like Joseph has a lot of tools. What's bad in his deck, you think?
Yeah, so before we talk about what's bad, I think Joe might have made a mistake in conceding too early.
Didn't know what's up?
He didn't know everything that was going on.
Okay.
And I think, especially when your sideboard is this kind of big and tailored to graveyard, you might want to see a little bit more of his deck before you start.
Absolutely.
Because he might bring in these Pithing Needles, and they might not be good.
You just never know.
Yeah.
Right, gotcha.
Gristlebrand might not be the only win condition.
Sure.
Now, it turns out they are going to be good because there's also Kiki Jiki. But in terms of in terms of the main board, what's bad is I'm not a big fan of these Walking Ballistas.
Okay.
Obviously, and maybe you leave them in to hit Deceiver X, or Deceiver X Art's not the Pestermite. So, yes,
right.
Walking Ballista, get out of my deck. Karn doesn't play well against a deck like this.
Sure.
Yeah, you can pick their land, you can pick their Advent Hold, but if they ever resolve a Living End, Karn's just not going to do enough.
I agree.
Batter Skull is also kind of slow, but it's probably fine. You could, if you want, keep in Walking Ballista and run the Basilisk Collar as well.
Okay.
That seems a little loose. You can just ping down everything that he gets back with Living End.
Okay.
And then I would leave in my Thought-Knot Seers. Matter Shapers probably fine.
Right.
Maybe just lower the curve a little bit, bring in the hate, and hope that your Reality Smashers and Thought-Knots get there.
It looks like, real quick here on Jeffrey's side, he has Ceremonious Rejection, Dark Betrayal, Dispel, couple Collective Brutalities, Negate, Rakdos Charm, or Braid, couple Engineer Explosives, 4 Leyline of Sanctities, and an Anger of the Gods. So I think just the Ceremonious Rejections about, and then maybe the Abrades is about the only card you really want here.
Yeah, so you should know that Eldrazi Tron plays Chalice in the main.
Yes.
So this should be a card that is on his radar. So I think Engineered Explosives should also come in.
Okay.
Just so that you can tag that Chalice on 0.
Yeah, I agree. So these guys are going to shuffle up, both taking a mulligan down to 6 here. But yeah, I don't know how this is going to go post board here. What do you think? I think Joseph's deck has the tools.
Absolutely. And I think if Jeffrey can get off to a fast start like he did with like a Spirit Guide, he might be able to run away with it. But if I'm Joseph, I am mulliganing for a Chalice.
Yeah. Chalice for 0 is pretty solid in this matchup. So I don't know. We're gonna find out here. So it looks like these guys are gonna drop their 6. Looks like both happy and going to scry to the bottom each way here. So Joseph's going to lead us off here on the Urza's Tower, Relic of Progenitus Online.
Relic's
Not
a good
bad.
one. He also has an Engineered Explosives in his hand.
Okay.
So glad to see that came in.
Sure. All right. It looks like not a second Tron piece, but the Eldrazi Temple's just as good here. Going to be able to jam out this Matter Reshaper.
And Matter Reshaper is a clock. I mean, a 3/2 does close out the game rather quickly, especially if you're fetching aggressively with your shock lands. It does look like Jeffrey has quite a few basics he could go get.
Yeah, he's got a lot of stuff going on. This matchup's cool. There's I don't know if I've ever seen this matchup honestly in paper or anywhere, to be honest with you.
Yeah, the Grixis Goryos is definitely an interesting metagame choice. It's definitely trying to go big, so it might pay off.
All right, so we're going to shuffle through here, and Jeffrey's going to untap with this Watery Grave in play. And going to go ahead, and there's a Spire Bluff Canals. Going to pass. Interesting.
Wow.
Nothing going on.
Looks like his hand is Deceiver, Exarch, and a Kiki Jiki.
Okay.
And again, I don't know that Joe has this on his radar.
Man, the Walking Bliss is still in.
Yep.
Looks like
He might not have felt like he had enough to cut.
Yeah, that's fair. I think in a matchup like this where you're really, truly not expecting it, you might just not have enough stuff to come out in the matchup. So
Absolutely.
And look at that. Jeffrey has the Abrade here for this Relic, which we're going to go ahead and pop in response. Kind of accomplishes the same thing here, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So Jeffrey's up, going to go ahead and looting here.
Now he has Exarch and Kiki in hand.
Wow.
So
maybe just looking for lands here. Oh.
Yeah.
And there's a Goryo's Vengeance.
Okay, so this is interesting too. He can pitch the Kiki Jiki.
Yes.
He can
there it is.
Deceiver Exarch.
Wow, there's a Gristlebrand in there too.
He can Deceiver Exarch on his own turn 4.
Yes.
And untap a land, and then Goryo's Vengeance back to Kiki Jiki, and then combo
out,
right?
Yeah.
Like that. That's a line.
Yep. Yeah, it's look like it might be tough here for Joseph unless we get can get a little aggressive here.
So it doesn't look like he had EE actually. It must have been the Walking Blitz I was seeing.
Map.
Oh,
okay.
No.
That's not enough.
Not very aggressive. Now, if he can get Tron online next turn, he can start really pumping this Walking Ballista.
Yeah, that is true.
Jeffrey's at 12.
I mean, Jeffrey's in a great spot here if he hits lands. It looks like he's missing.
It looks like he needs 2 lands. So I'm definitely firing up this Is It Charm to draw 2.
Yeah, I think this is great here. And he's got another Gristlebrand. Hit a land.
Hit a land, yeah.
So we're getting close here to the danger zone for Joseph. He has to get pretty aggressive here.
Yeah, and if he doesn't have an answer to this combo, it's going to be really good for him.
He's going to be in bad shape. Another Gristlebrand in the bin.
Oh, wow.
So just down to 12 here. And
So
Joseph needs like a Thought-Knot Seer here. Is like the best draw?
Thought-Knot would be really good. I know he has a land in hand. What was his draw?
I can't see. Looks like there's a land.
Looks like a black. I can't, but that would surprise me.
Land. Ooh, is this a smasher?
It is
no.
Tron.
All right, so it's coming in for 5.
5's not going to be enough.
It's not.
And he doesn't have enough counters on his walking ballista.
Is it a surgical extraction?
No, he can. It might be. Ooh, that would be good. He can kill the Kiki, though, with the walking ballista, right? Kiki is a 2/2?
Yeah, that's correct. Okay, well, Joseph doesn't go for it, so he might be going for it here in... I would have done it here, probably. I think the timing is a little interesting.
Well, he is missing a land to combo off. He could have gone for the Gristlebrand, but he can't actually draw any cards because he's at 7 life.
We're going to go ahead and start searching. Joseph's searching here. Another Mattery Shaper, I think that was. So this... Yep.
Here we go.
That's not how that
not
works.
A Deceiver Exarch.
Yep. There we go. We figured it out.
Tapping down the walking ballista here.
Taps the walking ballista, and we're going to come smashing in down to 4.
Interesting play. We haven't seen Deceiver Exarch in a while.
Yeah, Deceiver Exarch is... Deceiver Exarch's a card that hasn't seen a ton of play, you're right, since the banning of Splinter Twin.
Yep.
And this is kind of a Splinter Twinny deck. I don't know how the other way to describe it, what the word is I'm searching for, but with the Goryo's Vengeance here, I don't know.
He can go back up to 11. I think you're right, though. I think that is a surgical in Joseph's hand, and that will probably end the game.
I think that's the only card it makes sense to be at this point, right? Everything else would have been played out.
I think so.
We're going to crack a map here.
And the problem with just waiting is that I think Joe just has lethal with his walking ballista. If he just adds a counter, goes and gets a Tron piece, untaps, adds a couple counters, and kills him.
Yeah, it's kind of unfortunate here for Jeff, but Joseph does have these cards. I'm almost certain that's a surgical extraction, and that's really the reason you're playing it, right? Is
yes.
It hoses things like this. These graveyard-centric decks like these Grixis Goryo decks, or things like Dredge, and just, you know,
really anything
it's
trying
really
to use
flexible.
Anything that's going to beat you out of the graveyard, you're bringing that card.
Yep.
And a lot of people will try to Ghost Quarter Tron pieces and then surgical them. And I think that's one of the reasons surgical is being played more than anything else.
It was a Cavern of Souls.
Oh, wow.
So this is getting lands right away.
So it looks like he'll probably float some mana.
That's exiled, right? The Deceiver Exarch should be exiled, correct? Yes. And they're going to make that.
Exiled,
okay, very good.
Interesting. How can Jeffrey win from his position?
I'm not really sure at this point. So we can go for an instant speed Goryos here and try and bring this back. Is that enough? Oh boy, that's really bad.
Okay, so that will take him to 11. What is our response here?
Another counter.
Counter on walking ballista.
Shoot you.
Shoot you.
Shoot. Oh, he's shooting the walking ballista.
Nice.
Or he's shooting the Mattery Shaper, excuse me. Very heads-up play there by Joseph.
Very heads-up play by Joseph, yes.
Yeah, not going to let Jeff gain the life here, so Jeff's going to go down to 3 here.
Interesting. Wow. All right, so the Mattery Shaper died. He got a land off of it, which is another Tron piece.
So now this...
Now we're move to the end step.
Yep. Wow, really heads up there by Joseph to get around that life gain. Because that was going to be devastating. He was going to be able to draw, brand new cards also.
Yeah, I mean, he goes to a high life total, which I think is the biggest thing.
Yeah.
I still don't know how Jeffrey's beating this Ulamog attack next turn.
It doesn't look promising yet, and he comes to the same conclusion.
The writing is on the wall.
So we're going to go ahead and get a nice little game 3 here, which is awesome. Yeah, I thought that was a surgical, and Jeff didn't go for it. And I don't know if it would have made a huge difference for not going for the Kiki.
He was actually a land light.
One land short?
Yeah, he was one land short on the Kiki. He needs 4 lands. So you tap 3 for the Deceiver Exarch, and you untap one of your lands.
Oh, and he was missing at that turn.
He was missing the land that turn.
Okay, gotcha.
Yes.
Gotcha. So he had to get the Exarch in play, and then it just so happened that the Ulamog was very next card, like it always is.
Yeah, we haven't seen Deceiver Exarch in a while. Should we pull it up on stream?
Yeah, we can definitely do that. So Deceiver Exarch saw a lot of play back, way back when, back in my day, when Splinter Twin
back in your day, I played with that card. I loved me some Grixis Twin.
Yeah, that was Grixis Twin was probably one of the more powerful cards that I have ever, or one of the more powerful decks that I have ever piloted. It's very good. So I'm going to bring up this Deceiver Exarch here, and it looks very unassuming, okay? It's a 3-mana flash creature. It's a 1/4. That's a terrible rate. When it enters the battlefield, you can untap a target permanent you control, or you can tap a permanent that an opponent controls. So it's flexible in the sense that you can tap creatures inside of before combat. You can tap lands. You can untap your own lands, which is kind of like the hidden mode.
Yeah, so, and that's one of the ways that Jeffrey can kind of push this combo out in a fast manner. Now, what's interesting to me is that this is a 1/4.
Yeah.
And he didn't block the Matter Reshaper the turn he tapped the Walking Ballista.
Yeah.
And the reason is he could sack the Walking Ballista to kill the Exarch.
Okay.
Right? So the
Just
Exarch
didn't want
takes
it to
3.
die.
Didn't want it to die, but he does get the Walking Ballista off the field.
Yeah.
So it's really an interesting choice there. But also, a lot of people consider this very similar to Pestermite, but there are differences. Pestermite can either tap or tap any permanent.
Okay.
Deceiver Exarch only untaps your permanents
right.
and only taps your opponent's permanents. So you can't actually tap your own permanent. Not that that's very relevant very often, but it does come up every once in a while.
Sure. Looks like these guys are going to just drop 7. Doesn't look like any sideboard changes there for either player. They just kind of shuffled up and said, all right, let's go back to work here. So
yeah, and I think Joseph's probably feeling pretty good after that win. Like, his sideboard cards are really good against this deck.
Wow, Joseph's hand looks like Eldrazi, Temple. There's 2. Is that 2 Ulamogs in his hand? Or is that, I think that might be a Matter Reshaper.
I think those are Matter Reshapers. A Ballista, a Chalice.
There's a Chalice, and there's...
Is that a Surgical?
No, there's a Ghost Quarter here, a Ghost Quarter, I believe, and a Eldrazi Templar has 2 lands. And
yep.
they both go ahead and ship it down back to 6 each. So.
Interesting.
I feel like the Grixis Goryo's deck mulligans a lot.
I would agree, and I think it's probably much better on the play.
Yeah, definitely. We saw kind of the power there where in Game 1 where Jeffrey just, was it the second turn maybe?
Yeah.
He just went for it, and here we are,
Yeah.
Just
it was turn
nothing.
3, he went, as foretold, into Living In.
Yep.
Which is pretty sweet.
Yeah, this is an awesome tournament. Just kind of talking out loud here about Madison has a lot of really excellent players, and we've got some good ones here in the room to say the least possible.
So we've got some really big names here today. I'm really excited to be in Madison. They're really known for their limited play, and hopefully we'll see some of them on camera.
Definitely a hotbed for Magic. So these guys both going to keep 6, and they're going to bottom both cards. So Jeffrey's turn 1 here is pretty good. Faithless Looting's a nice setup card for this deck.
Yeah, he's got a Goryo's Vengeance, and he's got a As Foretold, and he's got a Gristlebrand.
Yeah, it looks like there's a Gristlebrand hitting the bin here.
I think he just needs to find a single land, right?
Yeah, it looks like it.
And also, I guess it needs to produce black. No turn 1 play.
No turn 1.
No relic, no.
And there's an
no
Abrade.
Card.
And a Braid there. So Jeffrey missing
ready.
black mana, it looks like.
And that's interesting. Okay, he has 2 Izzet Charms. I was interested because he discarded one of them. So I definitely, if I'm Jeffrey, I'm letting this resolve. I'm not abrading it. I'm discarding 2 cards.
Yeah, I
want to find my black mana.
If you have to land, the game's likely over unless he has one of those 2 surgical extractions. Is what it feels like at this point.
Well, and if he left Simian Spirit Guide in his deck, he has options of like draw 7, pitch my guide, blow up your map.
Yep.
But it looks like he's going to take the
going to try and slow him down. Also fine. So now we're going to dig for lands. It feels like here.
Yep.
I believe the overall attendance was in the 92. Is that what we settled on? I'll get the real numbers for sure.
I'm pretty sure it was 92. Yeah.
Okay. We'll get some numbers here after this game, and we'll check it out. So, boy, that's a dagger here for Joseph. It looks like he's missing his 3rd land drop.
Oh wow! So that Abrade actually worked out really well for Jeffrey. He bricked on lands in his 3 draws with the Izzet Charm.
Hey, looks like we're just playing a little draw go here. People missing land drops.
And this is the other half of Modern.
Yeah. Well, there's another Izzet Charm. I guess that sets him up.
Yeah, he's got 4 Izzet Charms in his deck.
I think Jeff missed again.
Oh wow!
I think he drew a pair. Nope, looks like that might be a polluted Delta. Okay.
Perfect.
So we're getting places here.
Now, if your opponent has discarded 2 As Foretold so far,
feels
you
really
got to be
scary.
really scared, right?
Very scared. There's a Dismember still in Joseph's deck. So Jeffrey's going to go down to 19 here, the first blood, down to 18 after cracking this polluted Delta. And it's hard for me to see a way where Jeff's going to lose this game at this point. And now that we've hit the 3rd land, and Joseph hasn't done anything.
The only way Jeff's losing this game is if he's too scared of cards like Surgical.
That's fair. And, Joseph really hasn't done anything with the mana. So you would assume maybe there's cards like Warping Whale or there's cards like Surgical Extraction in hand to make this a keepable hand.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he did. If the map survived, he did have Tron.
Yeah, that's true.
So he might have just been relying on that a little too much. He actually has the combo of As Foretold and Ancestral Vision this turn.
Yeah, my favorite.
everyone's dream.
Everyone wants that. You know, everyone puts that in their deck and says, this is what's going to happen every game. So.
But he also has the Goryo's Vengeance Crystal Brand. So what do you want to play around here?
I think I'm just going for it. You don't play a deck to not go for it,
yeah,
right?
Exactly.
Boom. You got a surgical? No? All right. Are we done here? That's the next question you ask. Down to 11.
Yep. This is what you should do every time you put Crystal Brand into play and your life total's above.
Oh, yeah.
Above 7.
Find some spirit guides and go to work.
Looks like he did find one.
Okay. Boom. Smash you. What's this? Oh, the blocker? Double Dismember.
Holy. So we're taking
Dismember 1 on the stack. We'll take 4 to cast this one. All right, that resolves. Second one. That one resolves. That one's in the graveyard. Down to 16. Jeff says, whoa.
Yeah.
He might be drawing cards in response to the second one here.
Yeah, he could, yep. But he's not going to gain any life, so it is a little dangerous with a Walking Bliss on the field because, you know, if he
hits Tron.
Yeah, if he hits Tron,
he can attack.
He can literally kill him next turn.
I agree.
He can add a counter, and that'll take him to 2, and then he can remove the 2 counters and kill his opponent.
Let's see what we're doing here. I don't know what I'm doing if I'm Jeffrey. I don't think I'm drawing more cards at this point. Yeah,
I agree.
I like it. So
I think his hand is very good.
So Joseph's going to go down to 12 here. Joseph should be at 12. Jeffrey should be at 11. We just took 8 off those dismembers.
Yep. Looks like we need Joe's life total updated here.
Yep. And we're going to get that fig. We got it updated on our screen, so we're all good here. There goes a Spirit Guide exiled for Jeffrey. Jeffrey's going for the As for Told, and it looks like we're going to draw 3. Oh boy.
Love it.
And he hit a
It's got a Living In as well.
Living In.
Now he can't cast it this turn.
Yeah.
Because you only get to cast 1 spell per turn off As for Told.
Boy, that's so fair.
Yeah.
That's so fair.
So fair.
All right, looks like we're moving to the cleanup. It looks maybe here.
All right, so we got our life dice updated.
Yep, looks like we're in the cleanup step here. Jeff's just going to discard some cards that really don't matter and try and go for it again. Is what it feels like at this point. I don't know what Joseph needs here at this point. The Tron land, the third piece of Tron, I don't even know what that does at this point. There's an expedition map that does nothing.
I mean, he does have. It definitely doesn't do anything this turn. I guess you're looking for cards like Ulamog, but you're quite a ways off.
You're way off, yeah.
He already has a tower in play, right? So he needs a tower and it looks like a mine.
Yeah, there's a tower and a mine in there, yep. And I mean, at this point, Jeff the world is his oyster. Going to lead off here on a Faithless Looting. It looks like he's going to try and combo off whichever way he wants at this point.
Yeah, I think at this point he's looking for like another Gristle Brand.
I think the safest way to do it here is probably, through the...
Yep. This is just going to generate a ton of value. He gets the Deceiver Exarchs.
Yep.
And now he can make $1 million.
Well, that's a good one there.
Combo, Living End, As for Told.
Yeah, I don't know if I really thought... Oops. I don't know if I thought that was going to be the match that I saw in round 1. But, boy, that was something. And you could really see the power of As for Told in that matchup, right? It was just kind of... It just was his auxiliary. It was his main game plan, I think, in that game, but it didn't really matter in game 1. Yeah,
and I mean, I think, like we said, Joe kind of conceded a little too early.
Yeah.
He was definitely going to get, your opponent's drawing 7 cards, gets to sculpt in their hand any way they want, and that's really hard to beat. So I understand that he wanted to concede or felt like he couldn't win.
Yeah.
But there is value in getting information. And so the way game 3 played out, I think, was more how Jeffrey really drew up the deck.
Yeah, it was definitely impressive. Jeff's deck was really impressive, and it attacks from a weird angle, I think, which is kind of important as far as Modern goes. There's a lot of linear decks like Affinity, and there's like Burn and things like that. They're very linear. Like the Humans deck is super linear.
Yep.
It taxes you a little bit on your resources and tries to gain incremental advantage. But a deck like this is just incredibly explosive.
Yeah, I would imagine Humans is pretty good against it because of Freebooter and Thalia's.
Mm-hmm.
But what I really like about this deck is the number 1 hate card I've seen in a lot of red decks is Ancient Grudge.
Sure.
And it just doesn't answer As for Told.
You just don't care.
You just get to resolve this enchantment that very few decks have answers to, and just cast this Living In.
I agree. You just
really
kind of
combo
off and just you don't really care about those cards. And we talked about it kind of briefly. Is there's just not a lot that people are packing for. Grixis Goryo's doesn't really exist, to put it nicely. You know, it makes up a very small part of the metagame. So you don't come to a tournament and say, you know what, I really want to beat today, Grixis Goryos.
And that might be a reason to play it.